Hi, hello. I think we're live right now.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Alex. So, in this talk, we will focus on AI-assisted engineers. Together with me today is Alex, who's Vice President Software Development at NewGlobe. Alex, would you like to say a few words and introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Luke. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I am the VP of Software Engineering in NewGlobe. I've been in the engineering space for almost 20 years now. I'm almost don't want to admit how long has been since I started, but yes, I can say that the developments in the last few years have been rapid, very fast in this direction of using automation and now using AI. And I think the times that will come will be very, very interesting for all of us that are active in this field.
Right, thank you. All right, so let me start with that. We know that companies are continuing to and trying to integrate AI-assisted tooling into their software development life cycles, and it's not only companies that are trying to adapt. We do have our engineers that are trying to find their way in this new reality, and it's not only about adapting the new tools, but also a little bit maybe even redefining their roles. So my first question would be, well, while we see the potential and we are optimistic and we are curious about what AI assisted tooling can do to us, it's still always about keeping this balance between leveraging the potential of those tools, but also, at the same time, maintaining this critical thinking and problem solving skills that are ultimately the skills defining AI engineers. How do you see what's your stance on this topic? How it's affecting how engineers are actually operating every day?
Yeah, I think that's a great opening point. So we we in New Globe have been experimenting with AI tools to help our engineers for at least 1 year now, and we have some very interesting results. Of course, New Globe is not a large engineering company, but still, I think we are in a position that now at least have some learnings that we will apply in the future for at least for our software development team. So,
Right.
to your point, indeed, we actually started from kind of democratizing the access to AI assistants for coding, pretty much for all our engineering base. And we did notice, the usual things that are touted in the media and online, like increase in productivity. This is so much easier, and I find out things immediately, or I don't even need to research. AI just gives me the boilerplate, and then I can
Yeah.
stick it into my code. So all of this, yes, we saw that as well. But in the same time, we realized that this can be a dangerous tool for somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience in the field. So actually, I read at some point a study made on Stack Overflow, which was giving some interesting numbers. So the research was saying that almost 60% of the AI hallucinations were accepted by junior engineers.
Oh.
While I cannot validate those numbers directly in my company, I do confirm the trend. So we did notice that the more junior engineers were the ones that were challenging less the output or the proposed solution, and they would just tend to use it. Of course, they will still do unit tests, and they will still do tests, stress and so on. So yes, those type of errors you will catch, but the things that are not actively and easily being caught in any test, then they will just accept, which is obviously a big
Mm.
risk when we are talking about adopting this at scale, maybe to an extent of augmenting entire teams with the AI assistants. So I was thinking that in a way that I was laughing with a colleague a few months back when we were like looking at a bug generated by this situation, and we're like, I think juniors needs more like scars, not shortcuts, right? So everybody is after a
Yeah.
shortcut. I think in particular, like junior people need actually those scars. They need to make
Yeah.
mistakes, to sit down with a peer coder, peer colleagues, do peer coding, and sit down and do pull request approvals and
Yeah.
comments back and forth. They need to go through this grind and through this those scars basically. Like all of us have
Yeah,
who are engineers have our scars, right, from the time when we're
yeah,
like
yeah,
bugging at 3 a.m. in the night.
yeah.
Because
Of
that
course, yeah.
can, yeah.
It's
Sorry, go
like
ahead.
it's like giving a sophisticated tool to the hands of someone who just simply doesn't have experience, right? An
Yeah.
analogy comes to my mind, like it's as if putting someone in front of a steering wheel. I don't know if it's even called steering wheel of an aeroplane, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you need to have certain training. You need to fly on those small ones before actually getting
Yes.
into big Boeing 737, right? Because without doing that, you just simply won't be able. Surely it
Yeah.
will get you faster from point A to B, but then do you know how to actually get there? Right?
Yeah, I absolutely agreed. And I think, look, I think the technology is here to stay, right? So I'm not saying this is a bad direction. Actually, I think this is a great direction. But like any many other tools that humanity invented, right? You can use it in the right way, or you can use it in a disruptive way. And
Right.
we haven't even touched the topic, and I don't think we will touch it today based on the current topic of discussion. But we haven't even touched about the any malicious intent, right? So using AI um, yeah, having a breach on the AI side and then use it in a malicious way in a company, right? So I
Yeah.
think there are like tons of ways to go in order to guardrail this, to safeguard this in a way that the tools will be safe and will be actually productive and useful for the
Yeah,
masses.
about this thing, this is actually visible even in normal everyday life. I mean, I'm being in my role, I'm doing a lot of recruitments, obviously, and one of the questions I'm asking the candidates is about the future of their field, their particular field. And I remember I was talking with one of the candidates for a security engineer, and he was answering that having AI assisted tooling is not only about surely it will help with some tasks of a security engineer, but then looking at it from a different angle, it also makes things easier for people doing the attacks, for hackers and etc. Right?
Exactly.
So they are having the same tools at their hands, and they can use it in a very different and very disruptive or very wrong way, to say, right?
Exactly. But even if we steer away from like malicious intent and we keep our discussion in the well-intended field of having a team of developers that are helped by AI, I think it's important to also think about, so we talked about the experience that is required in order to use the tool in the most efficient way, because AI still hallucinate a lot, and probably they will continue to do so. But even if we go beyond that, I think I see the trend of if the building the crude applications, right, the basic functionalities
Yeah.
in any applications. Okay, so that is like a prime example of something that can be exported to an AI assistant. Obviously much more than that, but that's a prime example. Then the question remains, how do we um, curate this, right? So engineers, I think, speaking again now back to the shift of where how the role will shift in the future. I think how do we build the skills of our engineers to learn more to curate the output, not only
Mhm.
from an engineering perspective, which was the first topic that we touched, but also from a business perspective, because this has been a long-standing challenge, I think, for many engineering teams to also look at the outcome from a business perspective and understand how something that we are
Right.
building is impacting business. Now, I think AI is adding an additional complexity of AI bias, because an
Yeah.
AI is only as good as the data and the models that is being
Yeah.
training on, right? So I think it's just that part of curating the output and aligning the output with the required business has a new dimension of complexity that we need to consider.
Yeah, that's true. And we were speaking a lot today about how data is really important and proper data management in order to be even able to, because well, mostly the hype is around generative AI, but as we said in some previous discussions, well, machine learning was and is with us for a long while right now, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
it's not something new out of the blue. Like we have to approach it and learn it from the very beginning. We surely have a lot of experienced people in the field already out there on the market, right? So it's just a matter of building proper synergies between the people that already know how those things are working, what's underneath, what are the risks, and what can be also connected while introducing these things into our ecosystem, and people that are starting to use those things. So yeah, definitely interesting times to be in. And some companies are trying, because you said how to sort of develop people towards this kind of new roles, new reality. And some companies are experimenting with this AI engineer thing. Do you think there's gonna be like another let's say definition of who AI engineer is? Because I think I've seen like dozens of those already. Like there's no single way to describe who AI engineer really is.
Yeah, look, I think there will continue to be many definitions, and to an extent, this is also true for pretty much pick any other role that you can find in software engineering, and you would find at least two definitions. But like in many cases, okay, define site reliability engineers, right? Like
Yeah.
versus DevOps engineers versus like there is always going to be variations, but I think that's not a problem. I actually think that's a good thing. I think the problem is to uh, you know keep the pace with the technology and not run ahead of technology, if it makes sense what I'm saying. So I also have seen in the market a lot of the companies that are basically literally jumping the gun. Like if you don't have in your budget an AI line, your budget is not good, because it's all the hype.
Mhm.
You need to have some AI related line in your budget these days.
So like
Otherwise,
fear of missing out is becoming their
yeah,
strategy,
fear of
right?
missing out, being able to talk to, or like if you look at a lot of companies that are selling products, if your product now does not incorporate some sort of AI into it, or the word is not there, then you are falling behind, right?
Yeah.
Behind the curve. I mean, let's not get into marketing discussions. I get all of these things, but I think behind the hood, there has to be a certain maturity that needs to come with both building these AI assistants, but also with using them.
Yeah. How do you think, from from a management perspective, you're a vice president of software development, how we can um, help our engineers to find their way, like to help them out to navigate in this new landscape? Like let's say I'm a junior engineer, and I understand that I need to learn the craft before actually getting my hands on those more sophisticated tools, like for example AI powered tools. How can organizations help those people to to navigate?
I think it's very much an exploration the world for everyone that is in this landscape. Honestly, I think everyone is trying and discover the path forward, and I don't think, and that's a good thing again, right? I don't think there is a single right answer. For example, we were thinking with my engineering managers that we should have maybe sprints, or even maybe architecture discussions, or even sprints where we are not using the AI assistant, right? So basically,
Mhm.
kind of AI assistant off times, right? Where basically go back to basics. But I think the problem that you are putting on the table is larger than that. And it's like, in the nutshell, you are asking, okay, where are we going for the future generation? Because if you think now, as an engineer, there is a classic progression, right? You start at a junior, you get your scars, right? Like you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
And then you make some choices in your career. You can go towards a solution architect, towards a principal, or if you want to, you can go towards the engineering management, where you are
yeah,
being you are supporting and consulting other newer engineers like yourself, right? You are helping your teams, hiring and then supporting them. Now it's all good and nice right now, but I think the question is, if we are replacing those basic tasks, and if we are replacing those hours where fixing a production bug at 1 a.m., like, yeah, nobody likes it, but like in hindsight, being under that stress and having no one but your skills and your colleagues around to rely and to
yeah,
learn. And then
yeah,
next time you are maybe the firefighting leader for the next outage, right? Like you are
yeah,
actually the one that
yeah.
is coordinating the other engineers that are investigating different
Or
things. right?
or sitting with a problem for 8 hours and not finding a solution, but then
And
going back home and then suddenly, while showering yourself,
exactly.
like, oh damn, it was so simple,
Going
right?
for a walk and then, oh,
Ding!
running
Oh,
back
I got
because
it.
I
I
think
get it.
I know. Yeah,
And then
exactly
running back
that.
to the office at 3 a.m.
Exactly that, right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have done all of this, and our generation, right, has done all of this, right? And
Yeah.
now we are in this spot. But the question is, if the next generation, right, the new people that are finishing now their education in this field and they are just starting out, right, they are skipping these steps, then I mean, all good and power to them for being as productive as, or even more productive than we were 10 years ago with the help of AI assistant. But my question is, and I don't have an answer for it right now, is how do we grow our next generation of solution architects, our next generation of
Yeah.
principal engineers, our next
Yeah.
generation of data curators, right? Like on the testing, on the QA side, but not basic QA, but actually in-depth QA, right? Like all of these things need time and need effort, need grind to be
Yeah.
cultivated, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to finish, on the pessimistic side. I actually think the future looks very bright in this area. I'm just thinking that we need to proactively, each in our own companies, right? We need to have some sort of plan. In my case, like, who is the person that will replace me, right? Like, who is the
Yeah.
person that
Yeah.
will replace my senior managers?
I'm
Um,
thinking
yeah,
maybe some of those problems that are right now being tackled or solved by those kind of people, like architecture engineers, or maybe some of them will just cease to exist. Like maybe some of those won't be even there because, like, some part of this stuff that we were learning on the go, that we were having this scars. There's always this thing that when you're an engineer, something, when you're a junior, something seems like, something unachievable, like it's so huge I can't even solve it. But then as you progress and you become senior and then principal and so on, those problems start to seem pretty small for you. And maybe, some groups of those tasks, some groups of those challenges that you would normally face being a junior will just be solved because they are so simple, looking at them from perspective and from time, that this is going to be solved by tooling. And then people can shift more towards maybe some product related roles also. I know it's all futurology, but I'm trying to,
yeah.
to
Look,
predict what's there, right?
it's obvious that we will not be able to find the reality, the truth right now, the future now. But I think it's worth debating, and I think it's worth considering the meta behind the question, because I totally agree with you. Yes, maybe some of the problems will be solved with tooling. My question would be, who will realize that those problems exist in the next generation, and that some tooling needs to be created or updated or kept up to
Yeah.
date, right, if you are not
Yeah.
aware of those problems. So sure, I
Yeah.
mean, I think the answer here, the grounded answer is, we need to take it slow. Like, again, I was thinking, like, AI moves so fast, both figuratively, like everybody wants to adopt it, but also like in reality, like the answers. And we heard before Christian talking about great efficiency that we as a company gain by using the solution that we implemented together.
Mhm.
So AI moves fast in general, right? Both figuratively and itself. But I think the guardians of the strategy and the path forward, being humans, will move a bit slower. So I think we need to have the balance between the very
Yeah.
fast disruptive technology and also bringing up. And I'm using the word guardians in a not lightly, because I was reading now. Look, EU is bringing up new regulations. There will be like big fines, hefty fines for companies that are using AI without the guardrails and without, for example, validating the outputs. The regulation are still discussed, but I think they will come within 1 or 2 years, and so on and so forth. Like, guardians is, I think, the right word. Like, look at guarding what the output is of AI and how that can fit into the broader
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, exactly. So to trying to wrap things up, I think it's for all of us. It's worth remembering that this evolving landscape is, because everybody is so afraid, will AI replace me? But I think it's not as much as replacing traditional roles, but rather, well, maybe
Transform.
expanding, transforming them a little
Transform.
bit.
Yeah.
Like we have to remember that we can treat AI as a kind of collaborative partner, right? It's obviously it's pushing boundaries, it's unlocking new things, but I think we both agree that it's not replacing anything, it's just changing the way things are, right?
I 100% agree. I think the world will look very differently in a few years. I mean, it's already changing, right? But it's a transformation. It's not a total reset and no ties with the past. No, I mean,
Exactly.
you will be able to recognize the world still, but it will be different than the one today.
Yeah, exactly. All right. It's been a great pleasure. It was an exciting discussion. So I'm really glad I hosted you here. Thank you for this marvelous discussion. And let's see what are exciting changes that are ahead of us.
Very much curious to see what will come. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
Have a nice afternoon.